What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be my review of episode 4 of Dragon Ball Daima. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. Did really enjoy this episode. There are some things that are very, very interesting, some very, very interesting in-story events that happen that unfold in this episode. But the things that I appreciated the most about this episode are the subtle nods to Journey to the West and Star Wars and things of that nature. Basically the same thing that I enjoyed about the last episode. There's a lot of that kind of stuff in this episode. And the first thing that I'll mention is the dynamic between Shin and Goku. Now, I was told as a Journey to the West fan that there was going to be a Tripitaka Sun Wukong-esque relationship between Supreme Kai and Goku. And this series has made me appreciate the Supreme Kai so much more. I just love, like, how sophisticated and high class he is and the way he carries himself. It does remind me a lot of Tripitaka, because Tripitaka was kind of like royalty in Journey to the West, and he essentially held himself in high regard as an honorable being. He was very, very polite. He's very, very well spoken. And Sun Wukong was sort of like this wild man who contrasted him very, very well in the story due to that. And I kind of see that dynamic here between Goku and Shin, and I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And the thing that I really enjoy about Shin is the fact that if you think about his backstory, if you think about how his backstory is essentially phrased by Toriyama, it's almost as if he was a Kai who was born enlightened, because he was born with a pure heart and tested, for a pure heart in order to leave the demon realm. And I think that's a really, really, really cool concept. And you can kind of see that a bit more with Shin here in Dragon Ball Daima whenever Goku and Shin are interacting, because Shin's always got Goku's back. He's very, very similar to Goku in that way. Shin and Goku seem to be developing this brotherly-like bond, and I really, really, really enjoy that about Dragon Ball Daima so far. So I didn't get a chance to talk about the Sea of Darkness much in the last review, because I wanted to kind of see if they were going to expand on it a little bit more, and they did. And they essentially expanded on it in the way that I hoped that they would. Now, I had speculated that the Demon Realm would be thick with yin energy in previous videos, and that's pretty much what the Sea of Darkness is. Now, a great example of the association between darkness and yin energy is in Sandland. Whenever Beelzebub absorbs the power of darkness under the moon, I know that kind of seems contradictory because he's essentially absorbing the light from the moon, but yin energy is associated with all of the conditions that come with being in the night, in a dark, moist, shaded environment. Whereas everything yang related is related to being in a sunny environment, being dry, being in the light. So essentially, yin and yang energy aren't just darkness and light. They're also associated with the conditions that come with night and day, and fog and darkness and moisture and things of that nature are associated with yin energy. Essentially very, very thick air, which Glorio keeps talking about over and over again. And this is Toriyama's sci-fi-esque way of playing on yin energy. And I know that sounds speculative, and it sounds kind of like I'm jumping to conclusions about that. But the thing is, if you'll notice, huge demonic mutants come out of the Sea of Darkness. And that is because, like I've talked about in previous videos, yin energy feeds into the existence of demons. It feeds their demonic nature and makes them more powerful. And so the fact that these giant mutant-like demons are coming out of the Sea of Darkness essentially confirms to me that Toriyama is thinking of the Sea of Darkness as a sea of yin energy, because the demons that are coming out of the Sea of yin energy are bigger, more powerful, and more mutated. I do think at some point they are going to associate this Sea of Darkness with the development of demonic entities in Dragon Ball. I do think that the thick air, quote-unquote, that they're having to deal with in the third demon realm is going to be associated with the conditions that create demons, especially due to the fact that this story is based on, especially this early section of Daima, has very, 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 very heavy Journey to the West vibes. Just the way that they are journeying on foot, the way that they're having to fight demons together constantly. Even if you remember the original Dragon Ball, the Dragon Balls were originally a replacement for the Buddha Sutras that Toriyama came up with in order to be more unique in terms of his storytelling and not make his story basically just a copy of Journey to the West. Now, I was talking about earlier about how I love this Tripitaka Goku-esque brotherly dynamic between Goku and Shin, and when Goku gets attacked by this giant demonic entity, the speed in which Shin is there for Goku was so awesome and wholesome. I love to see that. And I don't know, it's just, I think that the dynamic between Shin and Goku is kind of being underappreciated in that sense. I think the pairing of those two was a very, very creative and cool idea on Toriyama's part. Now, in this episode, we find out just how powerful Glorio is. And Glorio is going to be a big topic in this review, but I just like how Glorio is way stronger than people originally thought. You know, we assumed just because he had like a gun and he was walking around and stuff like that, that he wasn't really that powerful in terms of Dragon Ball standards. But no, this dude can fly, he can take down giant demons, and even Goku had a real appreciation for his strength. And I think that's awesome, because if he's going to be like the big brother of the group who's like taking care of all of these kids and making sure that they're safe, I think it's really, really cool that he might actually be possibly stronger than all of them as kids, unless they all, of course, make the progress back into what they were prior to being essentially weakened from the wish. So we find out that Glorio has no idea what ki is, which I think is very, very interesting, especially considering the fact he can fly. But remember, I talked about in my previous videos about how Buku Jutsu is kind of considered magic in a sense. As a matter of fact, like I said, ki manipulation, depending on who you ask, is also considered a form of magic due to the fact that chi is not only an inside source of energy, it's not just an internal source of energy, it's an external source of energy that makes up the fabric of the universe itself. And that's the reason that chi as a concept is a bit more nuanced, because you can summon the power of your internal or external chi. And normally the use of internal or external energy is what defines whether or not something is magic. So ki in itself is a very, very like nuanced concept due to like different interpretations of the concept. But just because Glorio knows how to fly doesn't mean he has a great understanding of chi, because he could just have an understanding of magic, and magic is very, very similar to chi. It's probably a very, very similar concept to, you know, the fact that most aliens in Dragon Ball can fly. That doesn't necessarily mean they have a great understanding of the concept of chi or how to control it. They just sort of can naturally do it due to the fact that they're more advanced species. And I think that that might be the case with Glorio, especially considering that the Demon Realm is a magic-based realm. He's probably just a more heavily developed magic-based being, and he's probably just naturally talented in terms of like using abilities such as flight. Everything that they introduced to us, like within this little section of the story, the item shop, the fast travel mechanics, the items, like everything is straight out of an RPG. And the first thing I thought when I saw this scene was that we very well may be getting a Dragon Ball Daima RPG, because this all seems like RPG style. It seems like a setup for an RPG series. I know there's Daima DLC coming out for Kakarot, but I would not be shocked at all if we got like a Dragon Quest style Dragon Ball Daima RPG. But yeah, apparently these join bugs, you split them in half and you eat them and you merge together. Are we going to get a Vegeta Piccolo fusion, or we're going to get a Goku Shin fusion, kind of like Merge Zamasu? Like, what are we going to get out of this? Like, that in itself, like, is really fun to speculate and think about, so I can understand why people are excited about it. Later on in the episode, when Goku offers Shin some of the join bugs, he says that he doesn't like bugs and that he has kind of a fear of them, and I thought that was really funny and interesting, too. So, here we find out that the Demon Realm Dragon Balls are the original Dragon Balls outside of the Super Dragon Balls, because we know that the Namekians took shavings from the Super Dragon Balls to make their Dragon Balls, which means this is the first set that they made, not the Namekian Dragon Balls, which is very, very interesting. Now, Neva is the one that made the Dragon Balls, which means he was one of the Namekians that took shavings from the Super Dragon Balls to make these Dragon Balls. And that makes him a much, much, much more interesting character, and I'm very, very, very excited to talk about that in a future video. So, after Glorio essentially gives us the rundown on the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, which he and himself being the one to give the exposition, I think is very interesting for a number of reasons. But we have this like weird interaction between Shin and Glorio, and this is when some cogs started to turn in my head, and I started to sort of maybe get an understanding of Glorio's character a bit more deeply, and that's actually the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video. So I think that Glorio, his bias lies in the third Demon Realm. I think that he is a double agent, and I think that despite the fact that he works for the first Demon Realm, due to the fact that he comes from the third Demon Realm, he actually has a grudge against the first Demon Realm, and that his goal is to unite all of the Demon Realms together and essentially get rid of this hierarchy amongst the Demon Realms to where all of them can travel back and forth between each other, and this class system that they have in the Demon Realm will no longer exist. I actually think that that is Glorio's overall goal, is to destroy the class system that they've essentially established in the Demon Realm. We learned in the last episode that there's a force field that prevents free travel between the different Demon Realms, which is the purpose of Warp. And I think that that's something that Glorio wants to put an end to, and I think that that's probably his connection with the third Demon King, is that the third Demon King also wants to put an end to this separation of the three Demon Realms. So this scene where Goku and Glorio and Shin run into a village in trouble, being essentially harassed for their life force, this is like really interesting because in most of the Journey to the West episodes and stories, you know, you've got Sun Wukong and Tripitaka and his other demon companions going in to save people from villages from demons, and in most cases the demons have the intentions of kidnapping women or stealing people's life force or things of that nature. I think that Goku being a hero, the way that he is in this scene, the way he attacks all the demons and saves this character that we're getting ready to be introduced to, Pansy, it was one of the most Sun Wukong-esque things I've seen Goku do in a long time, like a very blatant Sun Wukong-esque thing, because that's what Sun Wukong, I mean, and Goku, fair enough, used to go in to do. They would go into a town or a village, and he would just go ham with his Noibo and just save the village using his Noibo and all of his magical abilities. And this just had such... It reminded me a lot of Monkey Magic, which is a series that I've talked about on a previous video that had a huge impact on Dragon Ball, from like the episode titles to the quirky music and stuff like that. Dragon Ball took heavy inspiration from how Monkey Magic itself was directed and portrayed in Japan, and this reminded me a lot of that. So Goku pretty much wrecks this entire army of demons, which makes him a fugitive on the run in the Demon Realm. I do expect to see a wanted poster with Goku's name on it soon in the Demon Realm. But this episode was amazing. I'm really excited to see what Pansy's role is in the next episode, because the next episode is titled after her, so I guess we're going to learn about her backstory as well. But overall, I thought this episode was really interesting. There was a lot of cool things that were subtly told to us, but it wasn't too eventful. It was just essentially, you know, kind of a bridge episode between the more important concepts and developments of the series. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to see anything else with Goma and company, but I guess hopefully we'll get to see stuff with them in the next episode. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.